globally. Well, that's up for grabs. And there's technology now where, just like photos moved into applications, communications is about to move into applications as well. So get excited about technologies like WebRTC. You see some of the startups, the Twilios and people like that, but I expect the same kind of change inside there. And that's the big question here. February was Barcelona, Mobile World Congress. If anyone's familiar with Telco Land, that's where telco people go and get together to celebrate Telco World. Nothing to do with this, my memory. This is my hotel. The top ring is my hotel room. The hotel didn't have a bar. The second ring is the bar. The bar didn't have a restaurant. The third ring is the restaurant. It was the most powerful example of a working ecosystem I've ever seen in the whole of my life. Lesson from this: the hotel could have done alcohol, they didn't. The bar could have done food, they didn't. And they all benefited. And I spent a lot of time in that bar. So ecosystems, let's keep them honest. Just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should do something. March was a crap month, so I'm just going to randomly speak about anything, and I'm going to say the web is dead. There was a promise of the web and semantic web and knowledge and all of this stuff available to us, and if you've noticed, the semantic web never really took off. And the most exciting thing were people mining Wikipedia to irrelevance, most boring thing going on. That's because none of that is important anymore. What's actually important is the moment of now, and actually mining now. And what we start to see is the relevancy, and companies like Bottlenose and different people, if you don't know the important thing about now, it doesn't matter really what you knew about before. So that's also true if you think that the web and all of this infrastructure is moving into mission critical things inside industry. So actually what starts to happen is that this can cost lives, and we'll see that a little bit later on. Okay, what month are we on now? April. This guy, this is Gordon Bell. Hands up, who knows who Gordon Bell is? Yeah. Gordon Bell kind of invented computing, right? So he's a bit of a legend. We were on stage speaking about the Internet of Things at a Techonomy conference in Palo Alto. Before we went on, I've never met him before in my life. There was a panel for corporate people before it. You know, I turned around and said, "What did you think about that?" And he said, "I thought that was absolute bullshit." And then we went on, and he repeated all of this. The important lesson is, work with people who have nothing to lose, because they usually lose the least, to be honest. And he was very transparent and very honest, and it cuts through all of the corporate irrelevance that people will put in the way. May, all things D. Anyone ever been to, anyone seen Elon Musk speak? Yeah, like listening to an absolute crazy mad person. Speaking about the need to go to Mars, otherwise we die. And his proof is that we will die because the dinosaurs died. So the only way to survive is going into planetary kind of survival. But you're listening to this guy, and he did discuss warp drive and Star Trek, and you're listening to a crazy person that makes sense. He said something incredibly powerful about SpaceX. He said that he looked at the rocket industry, and he realized that 0.3% of the cost of a rocket was fuel, and about 2% was raw material. So obviously it's not being put together very cleverly. And that's what he's really gone now with his project to reinvest and reinvent how to make rockets. But look at things differently because it might not make sense. June, when I grew up, Snowdon was a mountain in Wales. Recently that has changed. Brings up a very important point. If we haven't got anyone from the kind of like government services here, they were very upset by this as well, because what it highlighted was the need to trust people. Trust is going to be dramatically expensive in the future. Because if I'm keeping your data and you come to me and you say you changed my data and I say I didn't, the cost of actually validating when I can't validate that is going to be massive. And as this data all moves online and all the systems move online, we have to have integrity of data. So either if you're running a business, focus on integrity of data and being able to prove that, or if you're thinking of actually building a new business, then actually work out ways to actually secure data. So I've spoken to some interesting people in this space. The first thing that they will tell you is that credentials are compromised. They work on the assumption that credentials are compromised because they can get to them. Be aware that 30% of cyber attacks are caused by internal people. So even if you have the best systems, someone has the keys. So what happens after that? So integrity going forward is going to be a massive foundation and opportunity and necessity for anyone doing online business. July, I joined the Fitbit crew. I went online. I started like measuring kind of everything about me, which was a bit depressing. Who's got Fitbits here? All right, keep your hands up. Who has got their replacement Fitbit here? Yeah. Yeah. So, another trend, and I know Mario's going to speak about this, it's wearables are disposables. Kind of, Fitbit, sorry, not Fitbit, this is Jawbone, no, sorry. It has a 40% return rate. That's what happens when software people do hardware. Okay? It's really simple. You don't just put a bug fix out and download it, you're returning the device. So as we move into the hardware space, really understand what hardware means, because I would not drive over a bridge built by a software guy, personally. And I am a software guy, and I wouldn't drive over my bridge. August, this was actually launched at All Things D. This is a thing called Glow. It's launched by a PayPal founder again, Max Levchkin, I think his name is. He turned around and said, I wanted to solve a big problem, not a small problem. So he wants to solve the fertility of mankind, because he describes pregnancy and getting pregnant as being the process today is about as advanced as it being in the 15th century. So solving big problems, analysing, and really this feeds into something we'll get into with the healthcare. Now, personally, I would trust my business and future to two guys that look like this. Right? The message really in September is, yeah, there's something big happening, right? Understand that we're in the nucleus of this. Understand there's something massively big going on. Because Nokia in the year 2000 was a $245 billion company. That's about the market cap of Apple today. And they were sold for less than Skype, about 7 billion, right? Apple, if I turned around and said, who do you think, think Apple's going to be here in 10 years' time? Do you have a lot of confidence that that's true? Because that's how Nokia were. So we're going through a massive change, and there are no guarantees, which is why there's companies like ours here. October, first time I took an Uber. I'm a late adopter. I mean, their site is so kind of slick. Wow. I mean, I just found myself falling into their site. It's like visiting Cosmopolitan. Completely Uber for me, and there's Airbnb. It's actually the big trend. It's utilization and it's sharing. So now, what actually is enabled, they have no assets other than a complete integrated network at the center of their business, and they orchestrate utilization of everyone else's asset. They're currently doing about 20 million a week, and it's growing. Completely disrupting everything. Reapply the concept of sharing into everything. November, so this is where we get into healthcare land. And what's amazing is the arguments about how it's so much more expensive to look after everybody, but in reality, the way we look after everybody is so stupid today, then if you can start to change that, then it changes everything. It's much easier, it's much cheaper to keep a car running on the road before it has a crash, and that's the same for a heart attack. So we have the technology, we have the opportunities, and it bleeds into the real change that's going on that says society and the legal strictures and social norms are not keeping up with the technology change. That's both a challenge and an opportunity for people. This is a fantastic podcast by, look at Radiolab, it's called Blame. And it's actually about the concept that can you hold somebody responsible for deviant behavior if their brains are seen to be abnormal. Because what is a person if suddenly you've got down to a level where you can actually see that everything is actually just the tissue and the nerve ending. Fantastic podcast. Last one, some things don't change. There's true people, there's always been true people, there's people that believe in things, there's passionate people. Be one of those people, surround yourselves with those people, and that actually will drive to success and purity. And then my last 2014 prediction, what I think we'll see is that we'll have big people acting small, and small people acting big, and the only important equation in all of that is people. Thank you very much. Thank you, Geoff.